Example 3, you're going to evaluate each expression. So again, you're going to try to get this expression to one answer. And a lot of you might want to just put it all in your calculator and be done with it. Well, remember, your calculator is only as smart as the buttons that you push in it. So what I recommend is that you go step by step. So the first thing I'm going to do, and you can always remember PEMDAS, right? You're going to focus on the exponent first. Notice I don't have any parentheses, so I'm going to go right to exponents. So 3 to the 4th power. So let me show you how to do 3 to the 4th power on your calculator. You're going to do 3, and then you have the caret button raised to the 4th power, and you get 81. So I'm going to rewrite this as 3 plus 2 times 81. Now, in our order of operations, what do you need to do next? Correct, you need to multiply. So in this next thing, I'm going to multiply 2 times 81. And when you do that, 2 times 81 is 162. Now finally, you can see the only thing that you're left with here is addition. So when you add 3 plus 162, you get 165, and that is your answer. Trust me on this, you will be more accurate if you do step by step as I just showed you. If you want to pause this video and try problem part B and C, go ahead and check your answer when you're done. If you're still not sure or want to keep going, then go ahead and just keep going with me. So notice in this first part, in this part B, we have 3 to the 3rd, and then we have this 8 squared. They're both exponents, so I'm going to first figure out what 3 to the 3rd is. And if I do this on my calculator, 3 raised to the 3rd is 27, so I'm going to record that. I'm going to still keep the subtraction symbol that's in between them. And then 8 squared, 8 times 8 is 64. I'm going to do 64. And then I have divided by 2. So when you see this, what is the next order of operations that I'm going to do? I'm not going to do 27 minus 64 because I have this division right here. Okay, so I'm going to take negative 64 divided by 2. And what do you get when you do negative 64 divided by 2? Negative 32. So I write it right below it and move down my 27. And 27 minus 32 is negative 5. So your answer to part B would be negative 5. Notice you're doing each part and going vertically in order to help solve it. Okay, in this last one, you want to first look and say, okay, where do I begin? Notice these symbols mean the absolute value. Okay, so the absolute value is the distance away from 0. So we're going to apply that at the very end. These are not parentheses. Okay, these vertical lines, when they are like this, mean absolute value. So in looking at this, I am going to first focus on the division part because division comes before subtraction, and please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. So to do this, I'm going to just copy down what I'm not going to change, and I have negative 82 divided by 2. When you do negative 82 divided by 2, you get negative 41. Okay? I'm not going to focus on the absolute value sign yet. I still need to subtract 33 minus 41. So when you take 33 minus 41, you get negative 8. And here I have the absolute value. So what's the absolute value of negative 8? Is 8. Let's now look at example 4. Prime factorization of 200 as a power. Prime factorization is breaking it down so that the only thing you're left with is numbers that you can then turn into exponential. So looking at this, I'm going to first ask myself, what two numbers when multiplied together give me 200? There's many different possibilities, but I'm going to write 100 times 2. Now look at this right here where it says prime number. Think of this as a trail, okay? The minute you hit a prime number, I want you to circle it. That is the end point for that side. But notice 100 is not a prime number. So because 100 is not a prime number, I need to break that number up. So ask yourself, what two numbers when multiplied together give you 100? What comes to mind right away is 10 times 10. So I'm going to do 10 times 10. Notice 10 is not a prime number, so I have to keep going. The only two numbers that can multiply together to get you 10 is 2 and 5, which are both prime numbers. So I'm going to circle all of those. So in order to write the prime factorization of 200 as a power, you're going to look and say, okay, I have 3 2's right here. So I'm going to write that as 2 times 2 times 2. And I have 2 5's, which I'm going to multiply it 5 times 5. Now we want to write this in exponential notation. So 2 times 2 times 2, we're going to write as 2 to the third power, times 5 is 5 to the second power. And that's our answer. Finally, let's look at example 5. Here it says you take a piece of rope that is 5 feet long. You cut it in half. You do this 3 more times. What is the length of the rope? So for example, what this means is, let's say I have my rope, which is 5 feet long. You're going to cut it in half one time. Then you're going to cut it in half another time, and finally one more time. Okay? In order to figure out what is the length of the rope, okay, you need to first figure out and say, okay, I have one that is 5 feet. That was my total. And I'm trying to figure out how big is it once I fold all of the folds. Okay, so I'm going to take 5, and it says you cut it in half. So to cut it by half, some of you might think, oh, well, you divide it by 2. What's the same as dividing by 2? Multiplying it by 1/2. Okay, so there's a half. Then we're going to do this 3 more times. So we're going to do times 1/2, times 1/2, times 1/2. So for a total of how many 1/2s? 4 of them. So I'm going to rewrite this as 5 times 1/2 to the 4th power. Would that be correct? No, because remember, this 4 is only going to the numerator. So if I want it to go to the denominator, I have to put it in parentheses. So when you do this and you multiply it, okay, you can actually kind of multiply it all the way. If I go back to this one, would be 5 over 16. So after you take a 5-foot rope and you cut it in half, and half, and half, and half, and half, your length of that little piece is going to be 5/16 feet. Right now would be a good time to go ahead and pause this video, and I want you to try the 7 on your own problems in the textbook. Once you try them, I'm going to come back to the video and I'm going to show you what those answers are. After you check your answers, then you're ready to try the assignment on the Big Ideas website. Don't forget to submit once you finish that assignment. Also, you'll notice on the document for this week that there is a checklist. Make sure you're checking that off to make sure at the end of the week that you did all of the assignments. This is the first week that we're going to be giving you credit in Gradebook, and in order to receive credit, you must complete all of the assignments and submit them. If you do not submit them, then we cannot give you credit. So go ahead and pause this video, and when you come back, the answers will be there. So now that you've tried the on your own answers, the on your own problems, excuse me, here are the answers to those 7 problems. We hope you're doing well. Please reach out to your teachers if you have any questions regarding this lesson. Have a great day.